The World Health Organization declared a pandemic, and that's when our phones just blew up. And we had to really start thinking about how everything was going to change. So I was the first marketer at Xtreme Xperience. I was on the co-founding team who put this thing together and tried to figure out how to make this work. For the first couple of years of the business, we're now 8 years into this, I was on the road pretty much consistently every weekend with our team. I was right seat instructing, I was running the pits, I was teaching classes, but ultimately it still boiled down to marketing. I was the one responsible for getting the word out about Xtreme Xperience and ultimately getting people out to the track. So now my role as the CMO is to guide the marketing strategy and just continue to move this business forward on our leadership team. See into the future, find what the products are that we want to be introducing, and then guide the marketing team to continue to bring new people into our world and introduce Xtreme Xperience to the masses. Actually, Adam Alalde, our CEO, is my best friend from college. We were fraternity brothers. We were freshman roommates. Actually, we lived next door to each other freshman year in the same dorm. And when he was actually working for a luxury rental company in Chicago, and you were able to rent a Lamborghini or Ferrari from him, they got a lot of phone calls from people saying, hey, I'd like to take this thing out for an hour, or can you show up at a birthday party or something? So they actually ended up creating like a short-term rental thing. You could, for couple $100, drive a car in the city for like an hour.
We found that the common trend along the way was that they didn't want to rent one of these things for a week for $20,000. They wanted to go out and just experience it for a special occasion for a price point that was more attainable to them. And so we started to think, and as winter came in Chicago and you didn't really drive these cars around the city anymore, we were like, well, we've got to figure out a way to check some boxes here. How do we keep the company going, and how do we fulfill that desire that those customers have asked for?
That then led to people asking about higher speed stuff and really wanting to push the cars.
So in late 2011, at the end of the racing season, we put together our first on-track event. And the track really that came into play because we didn't want to do it on the street. You know, common sense would tell you rent a car for a day, rent a car for a couple hours, but you're still doing that on the street. But that's the most dangerous, crazy place that you could do that, because I know what they're capable of and I know what you want to do with it, so I needed to find the right place to go do that.
That led to the idea of the racetrack driving experience.
You're gonna go into number 10.
The white one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What's up, homie?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
He's gonna have
A lot of resistance, huh?
It is just getting going. It's got kind of the dual clutch is kind of weird in this one. And then just gonna crack that too on the way out.
Well, the difference in on-center steering than the Hellcat is crazy. Yeah.
Cruise into the white line. She's in a little bit of gas. Wow. A little bit more. Full throttle, full throttle. Wow, wow, wow. Full throttle, you got it. More gas, full throttle, you got it, full throttle. Yeah, the GT3 is this is my second favorite car. But it's because it's fairly refined and it's easy to drive.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
Where's park? Just double?
Yep, that's it, neutral, that's it.
Appreciate it, dude, thank you.
Back in the day, back in 2011 or so, Groupon was a brand new thing. So when Groupon sent an email, everybody opened it. So they said, you know, let's run a Groupon and see what happens. thousands of Groupons were sold, and next thing you know, our very first event was completely sold out. That's where I came into the mix. So Adam, knowing I was a car guy, was like, hey, can you help just come facilitate this event? We needed bodies. We needed people to just facilitate this program. I didn't know what I was getting into at the time, but that led to actually sitting in a right seat with people that whole weekend and helping them get around the racetrack. From there, though, we realized that was the proof of concept. All these people had a great time doing it, and we realized that this needed to become a bigger thing, and that was really the inception of Xtreme Xperience, and we've been growing rapidly. Particularly for the last few years. Set a plan out in 2016 at the end of the year to double the size of our company over the next 3 years. We call it our 2020 vision. So coming through 2019, we had actually, in the year 2019, had doubled the size of our events. We doubled the number of events, doubled the cars, doubled the staff. It was a big, busy year, and went in through a really, really successful holiday year. And we're patting ourselves on the back for having just completed our 2020 vision. In Q1 of 2020, everything was full. Events were selling to capacity. Everything was really great. We had started out the year more successfully, more strongly than we ever have actually. Things were going really, really well. We were rocking and rolling. The first quarter, we've been on pace to exceed every goal that we actually had, which was fantastic. And then mid-March came and everything changed. The World Health Organization declared a pandemic, and that's when our phones just blew up. To really start thinking about how everything was going to change.
The number of affected countries has tripled. There are now more than 118,000 cases in 114 countries, and 4,291 people have lost their lives.
That's only the beginning when you look at the overall trickle-down effect of what's happening in the economy from the coronavirus.
For a pandemic and trying to figure our way through this with a service and an event that is so close quarter and so seemingly like we were going to be the first ones to fail.
We were actually hosting an event in Charlotte in March, and that same weekend was when Donald Trump declared a pandemic. And so our phones immediately started blowing up.
We're at an event in Charlotte at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is a big NASCAR track, huge money. Executives are there in the tower watching us. As this is like the weekend they shut everything down. We're running basically our last event before the COVID shutdown.
So I think it was March we were in Charlotte, and that was our first event that we had where it was like, all right, we're going to be 6 feet away from everybody, we're going to have face masks, and we immediately had everything. We had hand sanitizing stations, we had face masks, we increased our classrooms to tents instead of something enclosed where you had more room. And we ran our event. We had cleaners that sanitized the cars in between every event, but this was still as things were, about to get much worse, unbeknownst to the entire planet.
And I had everybody from operations, marketing that were in my office answering the phones because half my team was in Charlotte. I wasn't anticipating this large influx in calls. And since then, it was really nonstop. We were taking about 750 phone calls a day, just from guests wanting to know what was happening. We obviously started moving people's drives. We had events every single weekend that we were having to reschedule.
The canary in the coal mine, so to speak, was our group events started to call to see what was going to happen with their events, and our sales team was kind of caught flat-footed trying to figure out what were we going to do about events. Our phones blew up from our customers calling to see what was going to happen to their reservations, and over the next period of about 30 to 60 days, we rescheduled over 7,000 driving experiences.
And that was us having to coordinate with the track's new dates. We were reaching out to all 7,000 of these guests, letting them know, we need you guys to choose an option, we're going to reschedule you.
Like 48 hours beforehand, like, okay, what are we going to do? We're gonna face masks and hand sanitizer, all these things, and like we're just kind of throwing ideas out there, and just on the way down to CMS, we're stopping at every Target and every Walmart and buying whatever we can, just to have whatever we can get. You know, this was when everything was sold out. There was no hand sanitizer. There was no paper towels or, you know, toilet paper or anything. There was just nothing.
I had told Joe, I said, Joe, if we keep refunding people, somebody's going to put this on the Facebook and say, well, they gave me a refund by emailing Ben because I was the only one authorized to give a refund. And that's exactly what happened. Someone said, I didn't get a refund, and some other lady said, well, I emailed Ben and he gave me one. And so that just started this chain reaction to where we just had a solid, we actually ended up changing our refund policy from 14 days within the day of purchase to only 7, and we became very strict on the policy.
It was a mixed bag of concern, excitement, and just generally not feeling great about having to reschedule or move things into the future. But our guest services team did an awesome job handling those questions, thousands of emails, thousands of phone calls, and really our event coordinators were able to find new track dates for us, either totally new sets of dates, or we started adding dates to future dates in the second half of the year, still having no idea how long this thing was going to last, but we had to do something.
So social distancing in the pits, social distancing in every single line, because we have a lot of lines. You have a line to check in, a line to get in the lead car, a line to get in your supercar, a line to check out. Making sure that those lines were all spaced out.
And then, of course, there's the actual sanitary procedures. So masks for all of our team members, figuring out how to disinfect our supercars.
Disinfecting the cars. Every single time a car comes in, we have a car cleaner go and disinfect all the touch points. And that was the thing that really made a big, big difference.
A funny learning experience to begin with was that trying isopropyl alcohol on our cars was actually like, melting the rubber and stuff. These cars are not designed to have pure alcohol sprayed on them, so we had to find a hospital-grade disinfectant that also worked in cars. Similar to how the airlines had to deal with the same problem. They couldn't just use disinfectant Lysol on an airliner that would degrade the plastic. So we had to find those products. We had to then figure out how to get them safely into the hands of our team to clean the vehicles.
The customer gets out, we clean all the handles, all the steering wheel, the shifters, the buttons, all the stuff. And not just one car, but the entire pack. How do we do that and not lose time?
What kind of procedure and cadence could we get to the cleaning and wiping down of the steering wheels between every driving experience, and what that was going to mean for our instructors, who typically rely on seeing people's faces, engaging their reactions, and it all had to be completely rethought from the ground up. So there was no playbook on how to handle this type of scenario. So we really just took the best information we had and went to the drawing board, figured out how to make a safe and fun still experience for everybody. Xtreme Xperience, we take a very proactive approach to everything. We really try to get all of our ducks in a row as best as we can and then choose the best course of action. And seeing what our options were and getting them lined up, no matter what was going to happen, turned out to be a really smart move, because as the curve started to flatten and states started to open back up, we were then in a position to actually go deliver experiences within the guidelines and start bringing joy back to people who had been stuck home for months at a time.
And it turns out that the same group of people who are willing to get in with a stranger and go 150 miles an hour in a car that they'll have to trade their house for should something go wrong are the same people that don't mind coming out in public, as long as everyone's wearing a mask and cleaning their hands. So for us, as long as everyone is responsible and respectful, I think we'll just carry on.
Inside? Yeah. Sure.
Yep, I'll take care of that. You get your camera situated, and push it hard. How's that feel for you?
All right, go ahead, buddy. We'll stage right up front. Just go nice and easy. We have our cones that will guide you around the track. I'll be guiding you around the track, and you also have the visual aid here of the lead car. Wherever they are is probably a really great place to be.
Yep.
So when we do get out there, we'll take it nice and easy the first couple corners. You and I will test the brakes out just so you know what they feel like. And then with every corner, they're going to go a little faster. With every lap, they go faster. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Any questions?
I'm so pumped.
All right, man. Glad to hear it. Then when you'll see an orange cone on the left, is that a little bit of gas, lift off, stay to the left, a little bit of brake, release, turn your head, brake on the right, a little bit of gas, a little bit more, and now accelerate. Full throttle into the orange cone, lift, and storm on the road. Release, gradually make your way towards that green cone, perfect speed here, pace with the gas.
Wow.
Out to the right, orange cone, a little bit of gas, stay to the right, a little bit more gas, a little bit more. And then off, into the orange cone, and now turn. Follow the green got 3 of them. Perfect speed right there. Add a little bit more and hold it right there. A little bit more.
Feel the tires.
Keep your eyes moving. Keep your eyes moving. A little bit more gas.
Wow, 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 wow.
No problem. All the way to the other side. Come on, buddy. And lift. There we go. Orange on the brake. Harder. And release. Orange on the right. A little bit of gas. Lift off. We're going to score a brake. Green on the left. Beginning of the second lap now. Watch this turn. Orange on the right. A little bit more gas. Accelerate. Full time. And lift. Brake. Release. Brake down wide to the left. Release the brake. Green on the right. A little bit of gas. A little bit more. And full throttle.
He's fast.
Sure is. Lift. Arm on the brake. A little bit of gas. Perfect speed right there.
Wow, this thing.
A little bit more.
Wow, the grip. Wow, wow, wow.
Out to the right.
Wow, 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 wow.
Here we go.
Our safety protocols beforehand actually set us up to have the right mindset. All we had to do was add a couple of details because the mindset was already there.
So there has been challenges that we have to overcome, but honestly, they are pretty manageable. I think that if the entire nation would follow the standard that we have set for dealing with a pandemic, then the entire country would be in better shape.
Not over the pandemic, but we're reaching the other side of it. People are feeling comfortable to come outside, which I think is why we've seen the large influx in traffic both on the website, on the phones. We're still taking 500 phone calls a day. I have a large number in the office every day answering the phone. People want to book.
You got the process down, and it's very efficient and extremely effective, and everything works really well.
The majority of our events are sold out for the rest of the year. People want to come out with us. They want to have a good time, and we're ready to show it to them.
A lot of compliments from customers, a lot of compliments from the track and their executive staff, and just like, okay, nicely done. We're just kind of like, wow, we did it.
Most people who show up are actually really surprised by the levels that we go through to make sure that they're going to feel safe. We do require people to show up wearing masks. Our team wear masks in certain areas. The great thing is that our experiences are outdoors. And for a lot of people, it's comforting. When you see we've got a dedicated team to wiping down every single car, every surface that would be a touch point. I think people come in with a bit of concern, and then they see how serious we're taking it, and it kind of helps them feel more comfortable about their experience. Because you're already showing up to do something that's a bit nerve-wracking. You're going to go drive a $300,000 car, 150 miles an hour. It wasn't really that big of a stretch for us to add a few more layers of safety into the experience and make the whole thing just that much more kind of buttoned up and safe from every angle.
Of how to do this so that people felt like they were having a good time and they weren't at risk in any way, whether it be from COVID or from being, unsafe on the track.
If there is anybody that is considering doing this, or maybe they've never heard of us, go to YouTube and type in Xtreme Xperience and a racetrack near you. There are tens of thousands of videos probably now of people driving our cars and excited to share their video of them having the most fun that they have ever had. So if you're into cars, even if you're not into cars, come check out a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, or honestly the Porsche 911 at a racetrack near you, and it will be the most fun that you've ever had. It's just that easy.
As soon as things started to kind of show signs of opening back up, people felt more comfortable booking, and we definitely had a V-shaped recovery within Xtreme Xperience. While the rest of the economy may be a bit slower, we saw things rebound quickly. Perfectly timed with the Father's Day campaign. I think people were eager to get out of the house and reunite with family, go do something fun, make some memories, not waste a bunch of money on material goods that, hey, that necktie you're going to get, Dad. No one's wearing ties anymore right now because we're sitting at home. So what else can we do? Let's go drive some Ferraris this weekend. And so that V-shaped recovery plus the Father's Day campaign plus just the pivots we made allowed us to come out of that and actually from that point forward have exceeded every goal that we had pre-pandemic and has put us in a really good position. And in fact, now we're actually starting to close things down and close spaces and stop, pushing sales for certain events because they've gotten to the levels that we never would have expected. So I think if people are considering Xtreme Xperience or they're looking for something to look forward to, maybe they haven't quite gotten out of the house yet. I mean, we're going to be here delivering safe, consistent, and world-class driving experiences that will absolutely take you out of any funk that you may have been in. It's going to make you feel better than you felt in a long time, and I think that's what's more important. More important than the cars or the specific Ferrari that you want to drive. It's really about getting out and doing something, making a memory and a bucket list experience that you're never going to forget, especially during these interesting times. The pandemic has definitely been an interesting thing to navigate, both from a customer standpoint as well as a team standpoint. Our team, one of the things that makes us really unique is we are willing and ready to charge into any unique circumstance.
I needed staff, and a lot of staff were shaky about, like, I don't want to go on the road. That's crazy. Why would we go do that? They're telling us to stay and, you know, not go and do anything. And so proving to my staff that we've got their best interests, and not telling them or convincing them, but proving it to them. Because it's true. It's like I don't want anything to happen to my staff. I love them.